Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Moxxie Coaching Podcast. My name is Michelle, and I'll be your host as we explore what coaching is and how it can help you create your best life. If you're anything like me, it's important to you to give back in some way. Maybe it's volunteering in the soup kitchen. Maybe it's donating $1 million to environmental research. It doesn't really matter. I started coaching and podcasting because I'm just one person who can only do so much alone. And I realized that through coaching and through podcasting, I could help and support those of you who want to do good works and exponentially increase the amount of good that I'm able to do. So if this sounds like you, please be sure to like and subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Be well. Hello, everyone. It's Michelle here. Welcome to another episode of the Moxxie Coaching Podcast. I don't have any announcements this week other than the same old, same old. Check out the website, check out the free classes, check out the resources. Please share, like, and do all of those other things so everyone can find Moxxie if it is a good match for them. Okay, this week we are going to be talking about the threes of the tarot. Threes are all about the Trinity, abundance, creation, growth, expansion, things coming to fruition. Some people will say it's about procreation as well. In general, the threes are quite nice cards to get. There is one, there is one exception, and we'll talk about that one. All right, so let's start with the Three of Pentacles. And the card itself shows someone who looks like an artisan. And this artisan is talking to two wealthy people. Looks like one wealthy person and then maybe one religious figure or something. And it's like they're working together, and the master craftsman is just finishing something up. They, they're coming to an end of their project, and these two people are looking at everything and inspecting, and it's this sense of fruition, something coming to fruition. Of course, you know that if we're talking about the Three of Pentacles, we are talking about the number three, but we are also talking about the suit of Pentacles and the suit of being grounded and material things, physical objects, being physically here in the world, basically. So what happens when we put these two things together, right? The traditional meaning of the Three of Pentacles is really, like I was saying, it's sort of this card of the master artisan, the master musician, the master chef, whatever it is. It's someone who is very good at what they do. And it's a card of being recognized for skills and achievement. It can also be a card of being critiqued for your work. So let's say you are an art student in college, and we used to call them crits. Crits are coming up, right? You have to be ready to have your work critiqued. You have to be ready to explain your work. You have to be able to defend your work, all of those types of things. Could also be something like an employee evaluation, anything that it's recognizing our abilities, but it's also holding us to account for our level of skill. And basically making us prove our level of skill, right? So where would this card apply in a reading, and what kind of questions would you want to ask? As with all of these minor arcana cards, the first question is, where in my life might this apply to me? Now, because it is a pentacle, you can at least start thinking about, okay, well, is it applying to me in terms of work? Is it applying to me in terms of a project that I have that's not a work project, but it's something that I'm passionate about? Is it coming up in terms of, maybe you are that artist and you have a show coming up? All of those types of things. So think about, where in your life you are potentially going to be critiqued, and start there. If this card comes up for you and you don't feel like you are a master of anything, first of all, you might be surprised how good you are at something that you're not even aware of. And that's really what this card is asking you to do if it comes up in a reading in that situation where it's like, what the heck is that doing there? Then ask yourself, what have you been doing lately? What kind of projects are you working on? What skills or achievements do you either want other people to recognize, or are people recognizing them, or are you starting to get them out there so people can recognize them? So what are those skills? Because clearly if this card's coming up for you, it's telling you, hey, you're good at this. And of course, all of that has to do with the context of the reading, right? Another question you might want to ask is, am I, or is my work, or is my passion, or is whatever it is being evaluated in some way? And that kind of is a mirror of the first question. In some ways, this is just such a very practical and clear-cut card. There's not a whole lot of figuring it out, so to speak. I mean, of course, whenever you have a reading, and especially if you are someone who designates specific card meanings for specific positions in your reading, then yeah, you can come up with these cards and say, what the heck is that, and why is it there? What I'm trying to say is, this is not one of those cards. This is one of the more literal cards. There we go. That was far more articulate. However, you may also just explore the idea of, is there something in your life as related to Pentacles that needs to be evaluated that maybe you're not aware of? Is it time for you to reevaluate your work situation? Is it time for you to reevaluate, if you have investments, where your investments are? Is it time to question that investment expert like these people are doing in the card, right? So while it is a very practical card, there are some times when it's going to be necessary for you to sort of ask those roundabout questions. And the more you read for yourself, the more you are able to articulate the questions that you're trying to have answered, the more natural that's going to be for you. And then the last question, I think, might be a good one to ask, especially if the card comes up and you're getting a question mark in your brain about why it's there. You might want to ask yourself, where in your life are you being asked to expand? Because this card is also about expansion. Where in your life are you being asked to maybe put in a little bit more effort to level up, so to speak? And because the card is a pentacle card, more than likely, certainly not 100%, but more than likely, it's got something to do with something more material than intellectual or thought-based. All right. How about the Three of Swords? Let's get this one out of the way. All right, so the image on the Three of Swords is really simple, and it does not take a whole lot of interpretation skills to figure out what this one means. It's a heart in the middle of thunder and rain, and the heart is pierced by three swords. And this card is, it's one of the cards that's the hardest to find the rainbow, or find the gold at the end of the rainbow. You know, a lot of the cards in the tarot have lessons for us, and we can say, well, that sucked, but that was a good lesson. This one is just kind of sucky. So this card is about being betrayed. That is the first and foremost meaning. That if you asked 100 tarot readers who read traditionally, they're going to say, oh, this is the card of betrayal. It's a card of heartbreak, despair, despondence, depression, abandonment. It is that sense when, you know, I don't know, the sense, I can only imagine, like when you see your partner cheating on you, or something along those lines, where it's just like a dagger to the heart. And so, yeah, it's another one that's pretty literal, right? So when this card comes up in a reading, it could mean, yes, that someone is betraying you, but don't automatically assume that. It could also mean that you have a difficult decision to make, and it's hard, and you're sad about it, and you don't want to have to make this decision. It could be that, yeah, something has happened, and now you're in this phase of healing, and you're sort of taking some time to lick your wounds. All right, so what are the questions? Well, I guess on the positive side, this one is easier to come up with questions for because it is such a difficult card, I guess. The first question: have you recently been betrayed? Or are you feeling that you are potentially in a situation where you may be being betrayed, or betrayal may be in your future? On the flip side, these cards are going to bring up your own crap too. So, are you betraying someone else? And thirdly, are you betraying yourself? Because a lot of times this card will come up and people will say, well, I'm not even in a relationship. I don't even know what they're talking about. Everything is going great with this, this, and this. I just need to know about blank. And well, blank is probably what you're betraying yourself about, right? So yeah, keep that in mind if this card comes up and it doesn't make a whole lot of sense from that perspective of other people. Look at it from an internal perspective, and look at it, maybe it's suggesting that that you are struggling, and maybe it's like, hey, you're okay. You can admit that you're struggling. It's all right to admit that you're having a hard time. So then, of course, there are those logical questions. Am I feeling depressed? You might want to consider spending a little bit of time evaluating your own feelings. If this card is coming up and there is not that immediate betrayal situation where it's very clear cut, then it is. You might want to start looking at, hey, am I taking care of myself? A lot of times we get so busy and we just go on autopilot in life, and we're kind of bummed out, or we're kind of depressed, or we're kind of sad, but we don't even realize it necessarily because it's under the surface, and we just live with it, and that is so bad for our health. So my psychology pitch for the day: take those things into consideration. That's a lot of why I think the tarot is so good, because it gives us the opportunity to look inside, explore what's there, and work through it. All right, so a few more questions. Is there something that you're having a hard time getting over? You know, maybe this betrayal card is coming up because, yeah, your partner cheated on you a year ago and you just can't bring yourself to get back out there because it hurts too much. Are you feeling a little abandoned? So ask yourself those questions when this card comes up, and just allow yourself to feel, to sort of let all of the day-to-day crap drop away and let yourself be vulnerable to the feelings that come up. And that can be really hard. And you might start to cry. But if you do, it's actually a good thing, because there's something there that needs to come up and it needs to come out. All right. Next card is dun, 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 the Three of Cups. You know how when you listen to a good album, they keep the mood fluctuating? Well, we're moving from the bummer of the Three of Swords to the joyful Three of Cups. The Three of Cups is truly one of the most joyful cards in the deck. The image is of three young maidens, all with chalices raised, dancing in a circle, and at their feet looks like something that's plentiful, harvest of some sort, fruit. There's a pumpkin there, so it's almost like they just finished their harvest and they're like, "Damn, we feel good," and they drop their stuff and they just start dancing. That's the Three of Cups card. It's about joyful union. It's about fertility, positive results, right? They had a great harvest and now they are celebrating. It can be about parties or friendships or a victory dance. When this card comes up, it's like a little injection of happiness. So enjoy this card when it comes up, right? This is a good one. And one of the reasons it is a good one, not the only one, but one of the reasons, is because it's cups. And because when we feel life is good and we're in balance and we're feeling happy emotionally, cups are awesome. So this card is another one. It's similar to the Three of Pentacles in that it's a pretty literal card. Questions you can ask yourself: where's the celebration? What's worth celebrating? Where am I looking for positive results? Or do I need to start looking for positive results? You know, maybe you're a pessimist and this card is coming up. It could be coming up to say, yes, excellent, good for you. You're going to be able to cut loose and have some fun this week. Or it could be saying, you need to start enjoying life a little bit. You need to have some joy in your life. And joy is not like perma happiness. It is just fleeting moments that make it worth being on the planet. And that's what this card could be telling you to look for. So it's either telling you that you have plenty of joy and love already in your life, or it's asking you to look at where you need more, or it is saying some is coming. Okay? So it's not one that really, some of the Cups cards prompt us to spend some time thinking and meditating, like the Five of Cups, and we'll talk about why that is. But this one really, there's not a lot of depth to it. It's just like, cool, I got the Three of Cups. Okay? All right, and then the last of the threes is the Three of Wands. This image is a a wealthy looking man standing among three wands on a hill overlooking some water, and there are ships sailing away. They're sailing away because he finally has all of his ducks in a row. He finally has whatever plans he had to make put in place so these ships can take off and begin their journey and begin moving his project forward. So this is a card because wands are of action. This is a card all about you are at the point now where you have made your plans. You're at the point now where you have implemented those plans. And now you're in a position where you need to wait to see if your plans come to fruition. You need to wait and see what the situation is. But in general, it is assumed that it's a positive outcome. So, this would be like, this would be like your parents when they dropped you off at college and your mom stood there crying and your dad stood there, with his arm around you. And they're sort of launching you into adulthood, right? Now, let's be clear. I am completely clear that not everyone had that situation. I certainly did not. My dad could have cared less. My mom didn't even bother coming up. I drove my own ass up to college. So don't feel bad if you did not have that experience, that, beaver cleaver experience, because I didn't either. And, I think I'm turned out pretty well, although it did take some therapy. Okay, so anyway, I digress. This is a good card. This is the card where you pull the turkey. No, you put the turkey for Thanksgiving in the oven, right? Because it's got everything's been done. It's been thawed just right. It's been prepared exactly the way you want it to. The oven is the right temperature. And it's that moment of dun dun dun, you put it in the oven and then the universe takes over, or the oven, whichever, right? So that is the Three of Wands. So again, kind of a literal card, not quite as much as some of the others. But when you think about, what are you working on? What are you trying to move forward? Are you working on a project? Are you working on something at work? Are you volunteering on something? Whatever it is, you are getting yourself set up in an advantageous position. This card could also be coming up because it's asking you if you need a self-confidence boost. The guy that's standing in this card is looking at it like, dang, I got it. I did it. It was hard, but I did it. I got all the stuff done. All my ships are out at sea, and I'm going to be a wealthy merchant someday. So it could be this card coming in saying, you've got that. You have that, that ability to create something and feel about yourself the same way this guy feels about himself. Okay. It could be asking you to look at your projects, look at your plans, and finally put them in motion. Maybe you have been thinking about writing a book, or maybe you wrote your book and you've been terrified to send it to the publisher because that's the scary part, right? That's where we have to deal with the potential for rejection. This card could be saying, put your book in an envelope or hit the send button. However you're going to get it to the publisher, get it moving. So ask yourself, is there something that I've been working on that I kind of backed away from because I didn't know how to move it forward, or I've been afraid to move it forward? Well, it's time to start looking at that. I think that's it, right? It is. Okay. All right, my lovelies, I think we are finished for this week. Next week, we will be talking about the fours and, of course, then the 5, 6, all the way up to 10. After that, I am working on coming up with some podcast episodes that will walk us through specific types of readings to start putting this self-coaching concept into practice. So stick around, and if you have not already listened to the past episodes and are interested in learning how to read the tarot, I invite you to check out past Moxxie episodes, and you can start from the very beginning. We have worked through all of the cards, the major arcana, the court cards, and now we are finishing up with the minor arcana. So get ready. We're going to have some fun. All right, everybody. Have a great week. I will look forward to talking to you soon. Bye. Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Moxxie Coaching Podcast. My name is Michele, and I'll be your host as we explore what coaching is and how it can help you create your best life. If you're anything like me, it's important to you to give back in some way. Maybe it's volunteering in the soup kitchen. Maybe it's donating $1 million to environmental research. It doesn't really matter. I started coaching and podcasting because I'm just one person who can only do so much alone. And I realized that through coaching and through podcasting, I could help and support those of you who want to do good works and exponentially increase the amount of good that I'm able to do. So if this sounds like you, please be sure to like and subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Be well.